Hello and welcome to Anatomy and Physiology. This is the first introductory lecture. Anatomy, as a definition, is the study of structure. It's the physical stuff. It's all the stuff in the world. It's the stuff in our body. It's the toes, it's the skin, it's the muscles. Physiology, on the other hand, is the study of function. It describes how the stuff works. It describes how does a muscle contract. It describes how does a heart contract. How does a heart pump blood through the body. Structure dictates function. The fact that a heart has chambers and can contract makes it able to pump blood throughout the body. If it were looking different, we would have to adapt the function to it. When we look at a structural organization in the body, we can go from small to large. We can have first the very smallest level of our system, and that's the chemical level. Those are atoms, and they combine and they form molecules. Taking a bunch of these molecules together, we make the cells. The cellular level is the next level, and cells are the smallest units of life. So there is a single cellular organism that function as a whole organism just by being one cell. But in us we go and do it a little more complicated, because we're going to take cells together, different types of cells, and we create tissues, and tissues are fabric. They are mostly similar cells, and then there are some other substances depending on what tissue we look at. We have 4 different types of them. For example, here is epithelial tissue, we have muscle tissue, we have connective tissue, and then we also have the nerves themselves, and that's a whole tissue type itself. And combining these different tissue types will create organs, and an organ is a unit that performs a specific function in the body, like a heart itself, or a blood vessel, or a single muscle. And then we combine and take organs together that work together, like the heart and the blood vessel together, and they form an organ system. So we have multiple different systems. So this is, for example, the cardiovascular system. And then we take all the systems together and we make us the body. And that's an organism. So that's the highest level, and that's the organismal level of the body. What I want to do now is go through the different systems, the different organ systems briefly, and describe those. We start with the integumentary system. The integumentary system is our skin. It forms the external body coverings. The system protects the deeper tissues from injury, so we don't just have the insides come out when you bang our arm against something sharp. The skin also makes vitamin D through sunlight. That's very important. And we have a lot of receptors in the skin that can detect pressure or pain or temperature or touch. And we lastly also have glands in the system. Mainly we have oil glands and we have sweat glands. And the glands produce oil and they produce sweat. So the glands produce substances. Next system is the skeletal system. It's probably my favorite system since I'm a chiropractor. But the skeletal system has multiple functions. It protects and it supports body organs. It protects them. As an example, we have the skull protecting the brain, or the ribcage protecting the lungs. And as a support, well, without bones, we're not going to be standing upright. We need a big femur in the upper thigh to hold us up, and other ones too, of course. And then it also provides a framework where muscles can attach, and when muscles then move, they create movement, and that's called locomotion. We have a whole section of this course devoted to that. The skeletal system also makes blood cells, and it stores mineral. The one we know most of is the calcium, of course. The muscular systems help us manipulate the environment. It helps us move our fingers and our hands and grab things, and that's all muscle work that does that. It helps us in propelling us forward, in locomotion, that is. It also helps us with expressions, facial expressions or emotional expressions, and they describe how we feel. We don't just do that through words. Very often, our words are pretty not the greatest ones we can express ourselves with. Also, muscles, besides movement, it maintains posture. So we're not just sinking into ourselves, we're standing upright and tall and proud. And as we also know, muscle can create heat. When we shiver in the cold, that creates heat, for example. Then the nervous system is the system that is a fast-acting control system of our body. It's kind of like the telephone system. Cables go through our body and electricity connects body part to body part, and that makes it very fast. So what it does, it takes responses, it takes internal and external changes and detects those, and then transmits those changes to the central nervous system, which is mainly the brain and the spinal cord, and then it creates an answer and response to those changes, and sends those as nervous signals to muscles and to glands and alter what's happening inside the body and also what's happening outside the body. The endocrine system works very similarly, but these are glands that secrete hormones into the bloodstream mainly, and they regulate slower changing processes such as growth, reproduction, or nutrient use of the body cells. So they work similar to the nervous system. It's just the nervous system is fast and reactive, very reactive, and the results also, the effects are mitigated quite fast. The endocrine system works much slower, but the results last much longer. The cardiovascular system has to do with blood. Blood vessels transport the blood. And then the blood in itself carries multiple substances that we need in the body. They carry oxygen, we know it from that end. We also carry nutrients to tissue cells in the body, and then we can eliminate waste products and carbon dioxide and carry those also through the blood to the organs that will eliminate those. The heart is the pump of the blood. So without a heart, the blood won't go through the body. That wouldn't work out. The lymphatic system is similar to the cardiovascular system, but it's a system that just picks up fluid that has leaked from the blood vessel and returns that to the blood. By doing so, it disposes of debris, and it also has many white blood cells that really check if there is stuff in that lymph that we don't want. And it, of course, can create an attack to that, and the immune system works that way, at least in part. There is a problem with cancer going through the lymphatic system because in those lymph nodes, that's a spread of cancer that unfortunately favors that. It's too bad, but the system itself is a wonderful system for us. The respiratory system are our lungs, and they keep our blood constantly supplied with oxygen, and then they also remove carbon dioxide. They do also release some other waste products through the lungs that are gaseous wastes, and the functional units inside the lungs are the alveoli, and that's where the gas exchange happens. The digestive system is a system that breaks down food items that we eat and makes them small enough that they can be absorbed in through the wall into the bloodstream, and then, of course, feed the blood cells, the body cells, not the blood cells, the body cells. Food items that we cannot digest will be eliminated through the stool, the feces. The urinary system is an interesting system because It eliminates watery waste, and it eliminates nitrogenous waste, which is important in our protein breakdown. The urinary system also regulates water and electrolyte and pH balance of the blood. So it's a regulatory system too. And then lastly, we have the reproductive system, and that one is concerned with creating offsprings for us. We have testes that make sperm and sex hormone in the male. We have ducts and glands that aid the delivery of the sperm to the female reproductive tract. And then in the ladies, we have the ovaries that produce the eggs, and we have as well as sex hormones, and we have other structures that serve in terms of fertilization, but also in the production of milk to nourish the newborn. All right, let's go to part number 2 of this.